Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of entitled People. In today's episode, the Pumpkin Patch Karen. What gives them the right? My first Carl in the wild. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. The Pumpkin Patch Karen. This was just a few months ago, and I was volunteering for my local pumpkin patch, which I had done a few times before. I sat down at the front table where people go to pay for their pumpkins, and this woman and her child come sit down next to me. Keep in mind they were there for Cub Scouts volunteering, and I wasn't with an organization, I was just volunteering. Things start going as normal, people coming round and buying pumpkins. I was checking them out and logging the sold. She was already giving Karen vibes, and she started making comments about needing to have a parent with me. She was getting pretty upset about that alone, even though I knew I was fine. I brushed this off and started looking through the iPad manual for our Apple Pay customers, and she snatched it away from me without a word. Eventually, I was helping a customer determine how much they would pay because their pumpkin was in between sizes, and the second they walked away, the Karen said, "I'm perfectly capable of doing this on my own," in a very condescending tone. I informed her that the whole reason me and her child were here was to learn by serving the community, yet she insisted on doing it all. She got very mad after I said this and started going off on me, calling me a little brat. So I fled the scene. Still angers me to this day. Yeah, I can picture this episode. She probably considered herself a very capable person who thought your entire generation was incompetent and she would keep things right. I get why the memory of this still bothers you. It would annoy me too. When some parents see kids more capable than their own, they get defensive. Did you explain that you were not a Cub or Scout and that you were there by arrangement with the owners of the pumpkin patch and this was your job? I'd have asked her who she was and what the owner's agreement with her was. What a horror. What gives them the right? Oh, this weekend my whole family found out I'm pregnant. I previously had a miscarriage in October 2023, and I didn't want to tell anyone anything. But my grandfather got sick and is going to pass. I thought maybe I will tell him. My uncle evens up finding out and telling the Weil family before I got the chance. So I was already upset. My brother, who I have spoken to for about 2 years, him and his wife are toxic. Heard my uncle say it, and he bought a few baby clothes to give me. He said he wanted to be the fisher person to buy my baby clothes. I was so upset. I didn't buy any clothes yet due to my previous experience and had so PTSD from my experience. So I felt attacked when he was like, "I'm buying stuff first." It hurt me because I wanted to buy my baby clothes first. It's my baby, my pregnancy, not a selfish man who will have nothing to do with my child. I'm so angry at my family for taking my pregnancy secret from me. Did I mention they all knew about my miscarriage and stabbed me in the back, telling everyone and talking bad behind my back? Toxic. Keep your distance. If they're awful people, limit your interactions. Donate the clothes to a charity if you don't want them. Try to stay calm and take good care of yourself. Hoping for a successful, stress-free pregnancy. Congratulations on your pregnancy. You can quietly donate the clothes. When you buy your baby some clothes, those will be the first clothes to be worn. Protect your baby and yourself. Go Grey Rock. No more information to any of those who are toxic or gossip about you. Save your events to be shared with those you can trust. Be prepared, be protective, be safe. I feel for you. My mother did the same thing. Hubby tells family in waiting room baby is here. Not an hour later, phone calls congratulating me. I got to tell 0 people. My mom's excuse, "You were tired," trying to help. Years later still hurts, still angry. You have every right to feel this way. If they're truly this toxic, tell the hospital staff you want no one but your husband with you. They don't need to be there if they're such jackasses. My first Carl in the wild. IDK if you need backstory, but I also don't care, so you're gonna get some. My family grew up poor. The only reason we were lower middle class is because my dad was an army vet and the VA loans helped him buy our house. I'm 5 of 6 kids and my first family vacation was literally just an overnight to Las Vegas. After driving 8 hours and I got sick, IDK what, but I got my first bout of sleepwalking during that trip. Plus, I got stuck watching my toddler niece so the adults could go gamble. I was 14. There are more examples, but let's get to the story. I only have one child, a teenage son. I vowed to give him more experiences than I ever got growing up, even if it takes us a while to pull the funds together or I have to go without. It has been so much easier to throw on one more person, one more ticket, one more seat in the car, etc. for the trips and excursions we take together. We live close enough to Vegas to drive. I've been getting coupons and discount codes to offset costs. So we finally went for our 10th anniversary, and again last year for our 15th. I was weeding the rocks out front of my work and fell. I was off work for a full month and I found out my boss actively worked to deny my workman's comp, so I got no pay during that time. My husband is disabled but was waiting for the eventual denial letter for SSDI, so I was living off my savings, aka the vacation fund. Almost everything was prepaid on my credit card, and it was non-refundable. Thankfully, we hadn't paid for the car yet, and I was able to find a cheap one on the strip that I could walk to. I left my husband at the hotel so I wouldn't have to deal with his wheelchair and took my son with me to walk to the rental place. Google suggested it would be a 30-minute walk, but it was very much not, despite almost no pedestrian traffic at 8 a.m. when we left for the rental store. I have genetically bad knees and joints along with nerve damage in my glut, so I was hurting when we arrived, 10 minutes before our pickup time. I was hoping that a weekday would mean it was slower, but the line was wrapped around the lobby and out the door. There was one dude running the counter, an awesome African-American dude with dreadlock-style braids. My son let me sit on the small couch they had, and he stood in line for me for a while, and then we switched near the end as we approached the counter. When we switched, a dude, Carl, about 8 people back and standing by the door gave me an audible and disgusted sigh. I didn't see him come in, so I figured it was about the line. 30 minutes later, and I'm about 3 people from the front of the line. Dreeclock's dude is chatting with a couple about family-friendly locations they can drive to nearby. He's showing them brochures, offering them pre-printed maps, and just being an awesome customer service dude for them. I was close enough to overhear the exchange, but the Carl isn't. This dude has the gall to say, "Can you hurry it the crap up and do your job so this line can go down? They're not the most important people here right now. My reservation was due to pick up 45 minutes ago. That would have likely been about 9:30 or so." Carl was loud, so the entire lobby was looking now. If any of y'all have read my other posts, you'll know I have a bad filter when it comes to staying out of things and not speaking up. Dreeclocks was the only guy working the counter, and he just kept on keeping on with the couple. He barely even broke his pace with them except to give a quick customer vice versa of, "Thank you for being patient." So, to fill the awkward silence, I said something to the effect of, "He's showing them nearby places to visit, so he is acutely doing his job. Don't worry, you'll be up here soon." My reservation was for 8:50 myself, but the line is moving pretty fast considering he's alone right now. The entire lobby would soon know that was the wrong decision. Carl rips into me, saying he didn't ask for my opinion, that he'd been waiting for nearly 2 hours, and then implied that a girl, let alone a fat girl such as myself, shouldn't even be here as I would likely crash the rental I'm getting. Dude said something about why my husband isn't here, and that, "You can't expect AB*T to do a man's job, so SDFU and stay out of it." To say I saw red is an understatement. I'm genuinely lucky I'm bilingual because it was everything I could do to not grab him by his flop sweat and kick him in the balls. I used my American Sign Language skills to tell the guy exactly what I thought of him, right down to the fact that he was also fat and that I would happily squish him if I ever heard him say any words like that again. My son knows a few lines and recognized the look of pissed off signing on my face, and knew it could have gone down at any second right there. All Carl could say is, "Yeah, same back to you." "Not one for knowing when to shut up," I replied, "like you have any clue what I just said," and went off on him in ASL again. It was cathartic. Moments later, a girl sitting across the lobby starts laughing. Turns out, her sister's fiancé is deaf and she'd been learning to sign for them. I laughed so hard, I had to sit down. I still smile about it to this day. "Oh crap, you understood me?" "Yeah, and you're not wrong," was the gist, give or take. I get to the counter where there's now a second employee, so I don't get to talk to dreadlocks. Through the still present plexiglass barriers from COVID, I do my best to discreetly point out Carl and tell her, "Charge him for everything. Your coworker will back me up. He just went off for no reason, and he deserves some karma." She thanked me and said she would make sure he got the shaft. She upgraded me to a bigger car for Hub's wheelchair at no cost. She was able to scan his ID via video chat, and even though it kept failing, she said the only reason she offered was because I stood up for dreadlocks. Apparently, that app sucks to read IDs, and she shouldn't have gone from economy, no refunds, to the midsize I got. But she made an exception for me. But wait, there's more. We were at Mandalay Bay for the shark reef later that day, and my husband ducks into the restroom. The only people using this restroom were shark reef guests and a few conventioneers from some shipping convention nearby. Right before my husband leaves, Carl steps out. I'd recon, guys, that you'd have a pretty pig's face if you hadn't repeatedly smashed it into a brick wall, face anywhere. When my husband leaves, I tell him that blue shirt was the Carl from earlier. Husband goes, "Oh, that makes sense." He cut me off and nearly kicked my cane out from under me. Everyone could hear Blue Shirt complaining about how a harder was flapping his gums at the car rental counter earlier, and that he had to be put in his place over it. Apparently, he had said Drealox upsold him on everything, and there was no working around it. When he complained, my gal said, "Well, he's the supervisor," so I'd listen to him. He made eye contact with me near the bathroom, and I signed a quick, "I'm glad you finally got your car," at him. He got pissed off and just left. Thankfully, we were able to drop off at the airport for free as a result of my tip to the counter agent, so I didn't have to see Carl at the rental place again. What do you expect, dude? Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Wow, what an AH. Good for you for standing up for the counter associates. Eventual denial letter from SSDI. Bruh, I feel that. My ma's on her fourth attempt because the asshat doctor keeps putting "did not answer" at her appointments for it due to her having a seizure in the middle of the questioning. Workers' comp is for when you are hurt on the job, not at home. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you in the next video.